Double bind.
Double bind.
Double bind.
Double bind.
Double bind.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Double Bind. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Welcome to the state of being black. I am your host, Springle. I've got my co-host, Sneed, in house with me. And of course, Bugs is not with us this week, and he'll be back next week. And I've got my guest co-host for the first time. We've got Monty out of Brooklyn and Eric out of the Bronx. So this is a New York explosion right now. What's up, gentlemen?
Hey.
What's going on? Good top of the afternoon.
Is it afternoon, right? It feels like morning for me. So, as always, welcome to the episode and welcome to a moment of things that interest us. This is just about nerd stuff. In fact, if you're a black nerd, let's just call it blurred stuff. So this is an episode for those of us that are into sci-fi, comic books, superheroes, and that kind of thing. So let's just have a little fun with a lighter topic here, gentlemen. How many of you are familiar with Lovecraft Country?
Very familiar with it.
Super familiar.
Gotcha. So Sneed, you've seen it, and Monty, you've seen it. Eric?
No, I glanced to it. I'm not too familiar with it.
Gotcha. I guess you're going to catch up with us here. So, Sneed, I'm going to let you take the lead on this season finale. What did you think about the season finale?
Listen, it was stressful.
Yeah, since the episode aired, I had been in numerous conversations about the series as a whole and the series finale. I think I've been stripped of my black card at least 5 times a week for not enjoying it the way that, Black America enjoyed it. I'm just going to say I had some issues with it. I had some major issues with it. I didn't understand the direction. I didn't understand the choices that were made, the narrative. It was just rushed to me. And I recall making this argument. To be fair, you cannot do a plot-heavy series such as Lovecraft Country with 10 episodes at less than an hour apiece. It's not fair to the story. It's not fair to
the audience.
And, I never understood why people going in, producers, writers, directors, whatever, know this information going in, and yet they still feel the episodes was bullshit, unnecessary bullshit. It's like, I don't know what the plan was sitting down throughout these 10 episodes to say what we're going to do, what we're going to touch on, and what we're going to bring to the story. But I really felt like they let me down with the season finale. It was horrible, in my opinion.
Gotcha. Monty, your take.
So, looking at it objectively, it was a lot. It was kind of just thrown together. It was a lot they were trying to squeeze in one point. But HBO is notorious for giving their directors, producers, showrunners only a small window to tell a huge story. There's certain seasons where they'll flesh things out, and then you give something like Lovecraft Country only 10 episodes to tell a wild story, and it's not fair. You have to literally start from the beginning. You can't jump in the middle. And there was just so many questions. On my Facebook, I had like recaps and spoilers and just different people's take on different things, because I felt like the little nuances, the little things were missed. And those were the biggest parts of the story. And I hated that. As far as the season finale went, I was on the fence. I have mixed emotions about it. I liked it, but I didn't love it. So it's just like, okay, so where do we go from here? All we have to do now is left to speculate. Now that this has happened, where do we go from here?
Monty, what did you like about it exactly? I'm curious.
What did I like about it? First of all, I loved Letty. I've always liked Letty, although I thought Letty was a very toxic character, very selfish and things like that. It tried to close all the gaps that it had. I tried to close all the little storylines and things like that. I just guess I'm a very sentimental kind of person. So, when he saw his mom, I was like, oh my God, my heart. Who cut onions, the normal stuff. But I also like even though it was like a dream sequence, how you saw he passed on the power to D. And I personally feel the beast that was with D is Uncle George. That's her protector.
I'm so mad at you because you caught that. I was saving that because and one of the reasons I knew that was her father is because of the fact that two things: they protected the family, and two, if you notice, the skin color.
Yes, was black.
He was black, and the other ones were white.
Exactly.
So that right there told me that has to be her dad.
Has to be.
You know what I mean?
And that's the thing. I wish they had expounded on that a little bit because that deserved its own
episode, or if not two. Yeah, its own story arc. Yeah, within itself.
Its own story arc, because Diane's story arc was amazing in itself. You know, so I think it deserved that. It deserved that respect. Okay, you know, D, I'm passing this on to you. There's certain things that's going to transpire. I need you now when I leave to be the protector of the family. You know what I mean? Things like give me something like that instead of giving me a brief 2-second dream sequence that I had to kind of just watch a little, like 2 or 3 times. I was like, okay, so I get it now. He's passed the power on to her because he knew and accepted his fate. And I just wish they just allowed them to flesh it out.
Eric, since you're not familiar with this series, feel free to ask any questions of any one of us.
Okay, yeah. This whole series thing, because I mean, I heard about it. I kind of like view a bit of it on YouTube, like bits and pieces. Maybe I have to watch a whole episode, but it wasn't very interesting to me, so I didn't really bother. That's my reason. Because like the clips that I saw on YouTube, it didn't catch my interest.
Did you ever watch Stranger Things?
No.
No. Okay. So it's very similar to Stranger Things. It's almost like a black Stranger Things set in the
1950s.
For some strange reason, I was looking at it and it felt to me a little cheesy. So I was just like,
I get it. In the beginning, it seemed that way. It's just one of those, it's like any typical HBO show. You kind of just got to commit to it and give it time, because that first episode alone, when they were discussing the sundown towns and things like that, I experienced that. I actually had that experience.
What?
Yeah.
What? Tell us.
I was in the military. I had graduated from high school in 1997, and from high school, I went directly into the military. Long story short, I was stationed in Fort Sill, Oklahoma, right?
Sneed, are you familiar with any of this?
I actually, you know what? I'm sitting here listening to this because I went into the military right after high school in '95. I did my basic training and AIT at Fort Sill, Oklahoma. So I'm just listening to the story because we probably have a lot in common.
Exactly. So it's kind of, I was field artillery. I loved it. So what ended up happening was, towards the end of basic training AIT, you get put on weekend passes and things like that, where it's just like, okay, you leave on Friday, just be back here by 1700 hours on Sunday. My battle buddies and I, we were going into Texas. So we decided that we were going to drive into Texas, to catch like a Oklahoma Sooners football game, because they were going against, I think, like Texas A&M or one of those Texas colleges or whatever. So we went, and I've always heard stories that when you're driving in Texas, that there are certain towns and cities that you just don't stop in. You just make sure your gas tank is full and you just keep driving. I've always heard those stories, reiterated those stories, and we ended up stopping in some small hick town or something like that. We went into a diner. So as soon as we went into a diner, it was 5 black dudes inside of a diner. Mind you, this is 1997, and we still felt like they were reluctant to serve us, and they were kind of looking at us and things like that. And we were like, okay, I don't think we need to be in this part of town. So, we asked the waitress, do they accept military discounts and things like that? She was like, yes. And, long story short, we ate, we laughed. And one of the patrons there was like, you boys need to keep it down. So we looked, he was like, boys, like, who are you talking to? Like, what? So one of my battle buddies, he's a hothead, so he got into it with the white guy, whatever. So he was like, look, we all decided, was like, look, let's just leave. So we leave and we step outside or whatever, and argument is still ensuing and things like that. And he comes out with a few other patrons that were in the diner, and he was like, you boys think that just because you're military that somehow saves you? He's like, we could do what we want to do to you right now, and you'll never be found. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
He's like, you boys are in the wrong part of town. So he was like, okay. So one of my friends who's from down south, who was familiar with the whole concept of sundown towns, he's like, all right, it's time for us to go. He was like, yeah. So one of them was like, yeah, it does sound like a good idea because, after all, it is after sundown. And all the white patrons started laughing. It was like, all right, so we got to go. We left. We got in that car. And we hightailed it out of there. And that's when my same battle buddy that was from down south, he explained the whole idea of sun, because I never heard of a sundown town. I'm from New York.
Yeah, coming from New York, you're not gonna, you're like, what the is that?
Back to Oklahoma, just speaking on that and speaking on his experience and things like that. I was just angry. I was scared. I was just a myriad of emotions that I went through. Yeah, that was my experience. So it hit home heavy,
Wow. So in my experience, obviously I've not been in the military like either of you, but I remember, you guys know I work in marketing, and so I do did at the time, a lot of mobile tours. I was on the road for like 3.5 months, and I remember rolling up just outside of Boise, Idaho, and we went into this place called Ma and Pa's Kettle. And the breakfast was amazing. If you like greasy middle America diner food, like amazing. I loved it. And yes, Sneed, we know you. Anything fried, dipped in batter. I left my friends in there in Ma and Pa's Kettle, and then I went across the street and I walked in. And I remember walking in, it was just like this dead silence as soon as I opened the door. And so I picked up, I can't remember what it was. And then I put it down on the counter and I said, how much is this? The woman did not even look at me. She didn't answer. She looked down, anything but to have eye contact with me. I handed her the money because she didn't answer. So I gave her like $10 and she got the change. And I remember just feeling, this is we need to get out of here. And I was the only Black person on this team. So when I went back to the restaurant, I'm like, we need to get up out of here. I'm not comfortable. They're like, why? Mind you, they're not Black. So you know what I mean? So yeah. I'm like, I'm not comfortable here at all. And so within a few minutes, we wrapped up and got out of there. So again, not quite the same experience, but a similar feeling of dreadfulness, I guess, just being surrounded by that. But taking it back to Lovecraft country in a lot of those historical points, Steve, I don't know if this registered for you. There was the scene where Nine-Tailed Fox lady, I can't remember her name.
Her name is Gia.
Gia, thank you. It's just so funny. Like, I loved her character, but the name never stuck in my head. But she came in. He basically dissed her. She left. And then I'm like, how did he know she was staying at the Drake Hotel? How did he get the number? Because you think, to me, the way that kind of...
And why are you still there? Like,
yeah, I thought
you
right in my head.
Out, I'm trying to help you, and you giving me your ass to kiss. Later for you. Good luck with your life.
And then you move from being angry to just we family now. And I was like, that was
it ain't that simple for me.
No, I felt like that should have been stretched over this at least 2 to 3 episodes. Like, have them work that out. You know what I mean? Like what Monty's saying, the story arc and the subplots.
Or giving them more than one scene in the finale. I mean, I just felt like everything was just kind of rushed and just kind of soothed over. Like, oh, it's okay. Whatever happened in the past happened. We're all family now, and that was the theme, and that's great and all. But is it realistic? Probably not. I would have liked to have seen, instead of wasting all that time, that 45 minutes of all that uselessness, I kind of wish they had put more thought into patching things up and having those types of scenes that make so at the end it all makes sense when we're singing and having that kumbaya moment in the car.
Eric, what were you saying about budget?
Yeah, I said maybe HBO give them a certain amount of the budget for them to do it. It could not put in everything that y'all talking about, because I didn't see the series. So maybe that's what it is.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. But as Monty was saying, like you did say that HBO is notorious for like trying to squeeze in a lot in a little amount of time.
They are for that.
Yeah. Give me another example. Like give me another show they did that with.
Okay, let's be real. The scenes that we're talking about, the little nuances that you're speaking about earlier, would they have really been that out of budget? I mean, come on. I think they wasted more. They wasted more of their money with the foolishness, because the good stuff didn't happen until the very last 15 minutes of the episode.
This is true. You could tell that certain episodes were taken with much more care than others. You know, like for example, the episode where they started off with "Cruel Summer," and that was another thing I loved, how they infused like newer age music into that time frame.
Did I like that? Did you really like that though, Monty?
I did.
I had issues with that.
I did. You don't want to know why?
I have issues with that though.
Real quick, you want to know why? Because there was no other way to describe, especially with how they portrayed Emmett Till's funeral. There was just no, and it was just not only that, but it was just so many other things that were coming to a head. So that was a cruel summer, because in actuality, a lot of people believe that this is where the civil rights movement started, with his death and with his funeral. And it was just still so many different things going on. Like, when will it stop? Like, the summer is just hot. It's wicked. It's cruel. And I related to that. I got that, you know?
Oh, I get it too. And I love the song, and I understand the significance of Emmett Till. I just,
Sneed, excuse me, you would have preferred like music of that period per se?
Let's just say this. Yes, to answer your question, but to speak specifically of what we're talking about, because it was Emmett Till's, funeral, and it was the significance of his funeral. Did I care for a white person song in that moment?
I was thinking the same thing. I didn't want to say it, but yeah. But I'm with Monty on that. I love the juxtaposition of like a period piece with more contemporary modern music applied to it. You know what I mean? There was a point where one of the episodes they were playing like some trap song. And I kind of like that. I can't remember which one, but I kind of like the whole tie-in modern days with
There you go.
Previous period.
There you go. That's me too. I was thinking about it. I was like, okay, I'm gonna let it run.
Yeah. I don't know how many of you may notice this, but so the scene where Tick is on that sort of torture thing, sacrificial round table thing, how the hell did he get his forearms cut open and he had his wrists bound together, right? After the white chick absorbed his spirit and his power.
She cut him.
No, what I'm saying is she didn't cut him loose though.
No, she didn't cut him loose.
So for me, the editor in me was like, okay, how the hell did he just move from being strapped on this kind of round gurney thing to now his arm? You know what I mean? It's one of those little things like in Game of Thrones when they saw that Starbucks coffee in one of the scenes. I was like, somebody needs to get fired. I know it's small and it's insignificant, but it needs to make sense.
Because that is a prime example of HBO just doing wrong by a show,
right?
You know,
right. Speaking of doing wrong by many things, nerdy. let's talk about. And I'm sure Eric can join in at this point. So we're all Black here. We all are fans and of the comic book genre, action adventure, sci-fi, those kind of things. How many of you here have any issues with the way some of the characters are portrayed in movies versus the comic books? For example, Michael B. Jordan being the Human Torch in that horrible Fantastic Four movie. Monty, you did see the New Mutants, yes? Sneed, you saw it. Eric said you fell asleep, Eric, on the New Mutants.
No, I did not fall asleep. I tried to watch it, and I was just like, this is horrible.
It is.
And I'm sorry to say it. I don't know about y'all guys, but I cannot sit there and watch a horrible movie and waste my hour and a half. I'm not going to give it my time. It wasn't interesting. There's nothing about it. I catch my eye. My thought about I was just like, nope, ain't doing it.
So one of my issues in that movie, and Steve and I discussed this, so Monty, you can chime in as you feel free to. The character of Sunspot. So I don't know how many of us are familiar with Sunspot out there in the New Mutants, but he was written and drawn to me, as an Afro-Brazilian, his dad was black and his mom was, I guess, a non-black Brazilian. But he was always drawn with the sort of, the dark skin and the curly hair. And
the dark features.
Yeah, exactly. And then
the hue, as I like to call
right. Then the movie comes out, and now we're looking at sort of I'm straight from Spain or Argentina, and I really don't have, any Afro blood in me type of Latin dude. And even just the casting overall with the girl that played Mirage, Danny Moonstar, like I hate to say it, she looked a little washed out. I wanted someone a little bit more Indian looking, Native American looking, you know what I mean? So what were you guys' take on like the casting for the New Mutants specifically and just the way they do those things?
Well, I think like they try to, like they don't want to put, ethnic, they think that, America is not going to grasp towards it because, we want to see an Indian superhero.
Indian people?
But white America don't care about Indian. White America do not care about Indian because they are the type of group that don't really go to the movies like that. They already know that.
Then white America should not produce movies or take interest in movies that has multiple races in it. The New Mutants has an array of ethnical people. It's just, don't touch it. If you don't want to have that type of representation with other races other than your own, just leave it the alone and go make something else.
No, you're right. And the thing is, they try to keep it as neutral as possible, and that's where it backfires, because to me, the story was trash. I was like, these people were really going to release this in the movie theaters? And the thing is, we all know there's a certain demographic, there's a certain group of people who live and breathe that certain superheroes should not be touched. If the superhero is this race, or if it's implied that it's this race, then we should do it. That's how they should be left, So the thing is, I think with characters who are of different ethnic backgrounds than the normal white, blonde-haired, blue-eyed superhero, they try to make it as neutral as possible. And then when they go to the extreme, you have the case, as you mentioned before, that you throw a Michael B. Jordan into the Human Torch, and because you're trying to appease everybody, right, or you're trying to be like, hey, we're not like that. You may think we are, but we're not, because look, he was a Human Torch, and the movie was trash.
The whole adopted brother thing.
Horrible.
Like, let me use another example. Deadpool. Again, one of my favorite X-Men, what I consider off-center X-Men, Domino. I was pissed to hell off that they casted this half-black girl as Domino. And the reason, I guess I'm a bit of a purist when it comes to comic books. So, in terms of the stories I've grown up with and the stories I've read, like, I want to see the characters fleshed out the way that the original canon portrayed them to be. Like, I understand we live in a multicultural society. However, those books were written in a multicultural context as well. So I don't think the whole trans culture, trans ethnicity movement needs to permeate in a lot of these comic book and superhero films. I actually think the best person for, real quick, I know what you're about to say, Steve, but real quick, I'm gonna say this. I actually think the best person that would have been perfect to cast as Domino was Ruby Rose. Instead of casting her as Batwoman, she should have played Domino because she's perfect. She got Domino's slightly butch. Yeah, Ruby Rose is she's from she was Batwoman. They fired her because I think she was acting up on set or something. And she was also, where we kind of really saw who she was when she came to light was Orange is the New Black. But she also played Batwoman on that series. Of course, they got rid of her, so now they have a black Batwoman. But my point is, Ruby Rose would have been great as Domino, not this half-white, half-black chick. I'm black, and I didn't even want to see that. I'm sorry, Sneed, you were about to say something. I think I cut you.
No, it's okay. I was going to say, so you're not going to be too thrilled about Aldous Hodge playing Hawkman in the new Black Adam movie.
Oh, my God. I'm not. And Lovecraft Country. What's his name, dude? What's his name? I'm sorry. Like, I watched the whole series and his name is
Jonathan Majors is going to be Kang.
Yes, the Conqueror.
I don't get that. Don't get that at all, but it is what it is.
Monty, are you for that or not? Or you ain't got no strong feelings?
I don't have any strong feelings, honestly. I just think that they're capitalizing on his popularity right now. And the thing is, when the show first started, he was not featured at all. Everybody was, no, I don't see it. He's not attractive. He's not this. He's not that. Okay. But then, as the series progresses, like then you start hearing, okay, well, he's been cast as this and he's going to get that. So I just think that they're just kind of throwing him in there just to capitalize on his popularity.
He's been in a number of things before Lovecraft, though.
Yes, but my thing is, a lot of people weren't exposed to him until Lovecraft, unless you're like a true connoisseur of the movies, like you go across the full spectrum. A lot of people aren't going to know who he is. So,
and that would be me.
Yeah,
because prior to Lovecraft,
but my thing is, because of the phenomenal job that he did do in Lovecraft, he's like, okay, all of a sudden these opportunities.
I'm sorry. You said phenomenal job.
Yes, I said that very sarcastically. I did because
phenomenal job.
Because all of a sudden, all of these opportunities are coming to him. You know what I mean? So it's just like, I just feel like they just threw him in there. He wasn't originally picked for that. He just threw him in there. He's like, okay, we're going to capitalize off his popularity. Okay, that's fine.
Well, I mean, that's typical that, whatever that's hot right now, they feel like they could make more money with a movie. Throw somebody that's hot right now.
I need them to stop, though. Eric, let me ask you this. You and I have had this conversation outside of this moment. We've always talked about Storm, X-Men. I know all of y'all are rolling your eyes right now.
Oh, God. And I'm sorry to say, I'm not cutting you off. I am tired of hearing another movie about freaking Wolverine. I am tired.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I think they wrapped up his kind of solo series with Logan, I think, Old Man Logan.
Well, Logan is good. He's coming back, so.
Yeah. Yeah, apparently because Marvel picked up the rights. So the gentleman that in the
Boys.
Yeah, he's in talks to be the new Wolverine from the Marvel.
I think he'll be a good Wolverine.
I think so too.
Yeah, but what I was going to take it back to my original question to Eric was, when it comes to Storm, like, who would you like to see play Storm, Eric? Because you and I have talked about this before. We both agreed the whole light skinned, half black, half white girls are not cutting it.
No, because Storm was never like, a mixed child like that. I mean, the girl had really dark skin, so I don't know where the hell they get this. Even I love Halle Berry, very beautiful. Don't get me wrong. I love Halle, but she was not the right, and they never really focused.
Alexandra Shipp also.
Yeah, just like I was saying, the black, like the one I sent you, the black girl that played in Teen Titan.
Anna Diop. Yeah.
I think like she is
perfect.
Yes. Yeah. And due to the fact that I saw like how she acted in that show, I think that she will do a really good job.
I agree. Because she's very sexy without trying hard, and she's also commanding. You know what I mean? So I don't know why or how Hollywood works in the sense of who they decide to. Well, I mean, we get it.
I'm still team Jodie Turner-Smith
or Jodie Turner-Smith from Queen and Slim. She is, because of the fact that Anna Diop is already in the DC universe playing Starfire on Titans. I could see why she might not be able to be considered for the role of Storm.
Well, yeah, she was. I don't think so. I don't mean, she can't play two characters.
Why can't she? They've done it with Captain America and Human Torch. They've done it with Michael B. Jordan and Killmonger and the Human Torch. Like, who cares?
That is true, and and it's one is TV world and one is film world. So you're right. So Hollywood, if you're listening, please, Anna Diop for Storm or Jodie Turner-Smith, Foster-Smith.
Jodie Foster-Smith, Jodie Turner-Smith.
Got it.
And I really do need that that they need to focus more on like Storm, because everything is about what? Jean, Wolverine, Cyclops,
Professor X.
Okay, I mean, I could understand Professor X, you know what I mean? Because he is, you know what I'm saying? He is like the mutant, but
And stop focusing on Mystique, please.
Yes,
Marvel gods,
he's another
do not
one.
give us another story of focusing on Mystique.
And they should have never gotten rid of Rebecca Roman Stamos because Jennifer Lawrence cannot compare. Anyway, back to you. Monty, you were about to say something.
Yes, I'm going in a different direction. I actually wanted to say, what's her name? Yetide?
From American Gods?
Yes.
I knew you was going to say that.
Yes.
I knew you was going to say that.
Let me take a look at this chick.
Yes.
What's her name?
Yetide,
Badaki.
I can't remember her last name.
Badaki. Badaki.
All right, let's do some research.
Yes. Steve, you saw where I was going, right?
Yeah, I knew it. I knew you was going to say that. She was actually number 3 on my list, but not over Jodie because Jodie is hot, and that is going to be, unfortunately, that is going to be the deciding factor. Who is going to be? How can we sexualize Storm and still make it work and make it sell? And unfortunately, I think Yetide is not going to make the cut. She's a great actress. I loved her in American Gods, but as far as longevity and sensationalizing and sexualizing Storm, which they're going to do, it's not going to happen.
It's unfortunate. You're right, Sneed. You're right. You know the reason why I picked her? Yeah, the reason why I picked her is because she had such a older kind, because Storm was always had like a sort of a maternal older kind.
Oh yeah, she's actually one of the older X-Men. She's one of the first. Yeah.
So I just feel like she would kill it. Plus she's from the motherland.
She's gorgeous. She's Nigerian.
Okay,
I don't think
what's her name again?
Her name is Yetide Badaki. So Yetide Badaki. She's from American Gods and Bill Quist and something else.
Honestly, it would come down to Jodie and Anna, I believe.
Yes, it would.
Love it. I could see her as Storm.
And Anna has Diop has the experience in an action comic book genre. She's acted. Yeah. She's done drama. She did another 24 with what's his face, Corey Hawkins. So she's done a number of action type, fast paced things, which Jodie has not. Yeah, so
she has, and that 24 was good too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I definitely I see it. Definitely I see it. Oh, but I think her origin story is just long overdue. It's long overdue.
Yeah, she needs her own series. She needs a series to focus on her, just as they focused on Wolverine, because not only she's one of the Storm. For those who may not know what I'm talking about, Storm, outside of being a prominent character in the X-Men, Storm is also one of the most popular Marvel characters, period. And she's also one of the more famous and more beloved female characters in comic book history, period, whether it's DC, Marvel, and what.
And one of the most powerfulest Black female characters in Marvel history.
The melanin.
Do you know what happens to frogs that get hit by lightning? That was such a corny line.
Well, you would never know that by watching any of them X-Men movies.
Unfortunately.
Or that infamous scene where she throws her arms up in the air to summon the lightning and she just fires away. Every Storm in every movie does the same move. I want to throw my hands in the air, make this big dramatic scene, and come down with lightning that doesn't really do anything. Stop it.
At all. It's so disappointing.
That's from the animated series. I used to love that. Winds of Change.
That's from the animated series. Yeah.
So, if there was anyone else, are there any characters from comic books that you guys would love to see on screen? And if you would like to see those specific characters on screen, who would you like to play them? Monty, you first.
Oh, that's a good one. I didn't think about it. I would love to see Bishop. I've always been.
Nice.
Yeah, I've always been a fan of Bishop. Who would I get to play him? I don't know. I'll be honest.
Rock?
No, too cliche-ish. He's too cliche-ish for me. I need somebody else. Even if it's a fresh face, I need somebody different.
Oh, Aldous Hodge, I actually would have liked to see. Yes.
Okay, Aldous Hodge. Yeah. Okay, that can work.
Or Sneed, I know you're going to disagree with me on this. Eric may be in the middle on this, but Trevante Rhodes from Moonlight, he would be a good Bishop, I think. Or even a replacement for Black Panther, to take it back.
Yes.
No. Don't replace Black Panther. Just let Zuri take the mantle. Just let her.
True. All right, let's move on. Let's move on. Rest in peace, Chad. Gene, anybody you'd like to see come to the screen, and who would you like to see play them?
Honestly, I would like to see either Blue Marvel or Night Thrasher.
Night Thrasher. All right for the obscure characters. I love it. And Blue Marvel, I don't think he's popular enough though. I don't think enough people know him.
We need a black Superman. I'm sorry. And that's, he may not be popular, but we can make him popular because quite honestly, what's this face for this Shang-Chi and the 10 rings?
Yeah,
who cares?
Point taken. Yeah, because that was an 80s comic book. There's A-list, B-list, and C-list. And then there's the rest. Shang-Chi was the rest. You know what I mean? I was shocked that they were greenlighting that. But again, like as to Eric's point earlier, Hollywood wants to make as much money as possible, so they're going to reach for as many ethnic groups as possible and try to give and feed those markets. Yeah.
Then focus on the Mandarin for real in the hand if you want to give a shout out to the Asian community, not just drug up some characters that nobody cares about.
Amen. So who would you want to play Blue Marvel?
If I just had to, off the top of my head, it would have to be Mr. Elba. Like I can't think of anybody who can play that character, but Mr. Elba. So
yeah, Idris Elba is the only person that I could see.
And Night Thrasher, it would have to be like Trevante. I think Trevante would be a good Night Thrasher.
Yes, young
or Sterling, because I'm team Sterling. K. Brown to the fullest.
Well, even Sterling could do Blue Marvel. No,
Sterling. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He could probably do Blue Marvel too, because to me Sterling can play anybody. I don't care. He can play a super dog or a super cat or super mouse or whatever, and he'll make it work.
And
so
one of the things I like about Sterling K. Brown is that he. His blackness is ever present. You know what I mean? It might be weird for people who are not black, who may not understand what I mean, but like Sterling K. Brown, like his blackness is there. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Makes perfect sense to me. Makes perfect sense to me.
Eric, who would you like to see come to the screen and who would you like to play them?
Well, I say I'm with Monty with, Bishop.
Anybody else besides Bishop?
Because my brain is, I can't think right now. But I remember I remember there was a comic. There was a black guy. I think he had like a red suit on and a green like cape. I forgot his name.
Oh, I know who he's talking about. You're talking about Icon. So that was from Icon. The black comic. Yeah. Was it Image Comics, I think? Yeah, let me double check because that's kind of when I started fizzling away from comic books. But you're talking about Icon.
Icon,
and I think Icon is partially owned by DC at this point. I don't know if they've released that contract.
Probably not.
Yeah, but yeah, Icon would be great. So who would you want to play him? Yeah, he's owned by DC now. He's owned by DC.
He's owned by DC.
It was originally he was originally introduced to Milestone Media in the 1990s, but now he's owned by the DC brand.
Okay. Who would I? You know what?
There's not a lot of muscular black dudes in Hollywood like that.
That's what I'm saying.
It's hard.
That would be able to act. I mean, the guy I was thinking of, remember the black guy that played Spawn? I forgot his name.
Jai White?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, yes.
You know what? I forgot about Spawn. But it was rumored that Jamie Foxx is supposed to be taking up the mantle of Spawn.
Yeah.
Last year, reading an article, or maybe 2 years ago, reading about Jamie Foxx taking on the mantle of Spawn.
I hope not, because he's already Electro, and they're bringing him back for the next Spider-Man movie. So
why? Because he did such a great job as Electro the first go around. Why are they bringing that back?
No, because he brought more money. But go ahead.
Well, yeah, Michael Jai White would have been perfect, because it's almost like we forgot about him too. Yeah, he hasn't been working in a minute.
No, he hasn't.
But we'll give him his flowers. Hopefully he's getting them. But again, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me for this episode of The Double Bind. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Welcome to the state of being Black in this world. And once again, thank you so much to Monty from Brooklyn and Eric from the Bronx, and of course my co-host Sneed joining in. And once again, tune in next week, and let's listen in some more on the state of Blackness with us here at Double Bind. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow on all major social media platforms. Once again, my name was Springle, and we're checking out. In fact, Eric, how do you say we're tuning out in Creole? Or tune in next week, I should say.
You got to ask Monty that.
Monty's French Monty's Creole is worse than yours.
Really? Oh, really?
Well, okay. Actually, you know what, Monty? I've never actually heard you kill Creole. I've heard you say one or two little things.
After that comment, you never will.
Okay. So, all right, close out the show, Monty. Close out. Tell them to tune in next week.
Partisanou, show a fini. So, prochaine fois si tu veux.
Yeah, exactly what he said. Yeah. All right, gentlemen. Thanks again. Talk to you guys later.
Later.